Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Gig Money Podcast. We talk with musicians about the side hustles they use to fund their musical ambitions. I am Cody.
And I'm Andrew.
And today we have Taylor Roberts on. You might know him from Taproot. You might know him from Writing with Killers. You also might know him from being the guy who painted your house. So, without further ado, the multi-talented Taylor Roberts, how's it going?
What's going on, gentlemen? Thank you so much for having me, man.
Thanks for being on. Absolutely. We were talking a little bit in the pre-interview about some of your busy lifestyle. You're currently recording the second album with Writing with Killers, even before the first one has been released, right?
Yes, and we actually just finished vocals for that today. So if I sound rough, my throat is thrashed, man. Today was literally all of the harsh screaming vocals, and I did that for about a solid 7 hours today.
Ooh,
so
that's rough.
my throat is definitely hurting. It's a good day though.
Yep,
it's a very good day.
I hear that. Good day.
Celebrate here shortly, and this it was cool, man, because we started this record a year and a half ago in New Orleans, and we did the music there. We went to Gothenburg, and then to finally finish vocals here today. It was a long journey to get here, but it's, glad to finally be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that worldwide journey in order to create the music, I can only imagine how much that really impacted what it's really going to be. So we're really looking forward to that.
Yeah, man. I was definitely because I'm super proud of the first record that's coming out next month. Matt LaPlante and I worked so hard on that with all the musicians that we had involved. But on this record, the first record kind of got me into the mindset of being a vocalist, because I was never a vocalist in my previous bands. So I feel like with this new record that I did with Jacob, I was able to articulate my feelings and my thoughts a lot better, just because I've had essentially a good practice run with the first record. So I really like how vulnerable Jacob got me to be, not only with my lyrics, but with my voice. Like yesterday, great example, like, and no shame in my game, man, but like, I literally cried for the entire day in the booth. Like while I was singing, like he found a way to put me there, and it helped me tap into some things that I think are going to translate very, very well with the following record. And again, I love both records for very different reasons, but yeah, sorry, I like to ramble.
No, that's cool. And it sounds like you had that route that you tapped into. So yeah, I did it.
I was going to go there.
We're starting. Yeah, I saw it in your face, Andrew. I knew you were going to go there, but I beat you to the punch. So anyways, yeah, that's really, really cool. We're excited about that. We're excited about the, first album that's coming out next month, and then everything that comes after that, especially considering how deep you really got into it, because music is all about emotion, and that's what brings people together in it. If you're trying to phone it in, then it's not going to work. I've seen it countless times that people try and phone it in, and it doesn't work.
Yeah,
can't fake it. So,
well, hopefully people like what we got in store.
Absolutely. Andrew and I were listening to a couple of your releases on YouTube before the show, and I think it's definitely a cool vibe that you guys have going on that's not really prevalent in today's day and age. It's like a alt rock, post grunge with some heaviness in there. It just really, I feel like that's going to become prevalent in a lot of popular music in the coming years, just because of that cyclical fashion that music tends to have. Certain styles come back in fashion. I think you kill it. So
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Every day is exactly the same.
Yeah,
That
man,
one's awesome.
that's one of my all-time favorite songs, like period. And to get to recreate that and make it into more of a rock, because like if you really listen to the original, hold on one second. Um, there we go. Just less noise bleeding through. But when you really listen to that song, like it's not a rock song. There aren't really rock instruments and whatnot on it. It's a lot of drum machines and synths and stuff like that. So to get to recreate that, but with distorted guitars and slamming bass and drums was so cool. And that's just one of my favorite Nine Inch Nails songs, and one of my favorite songs, period. Like I don't want to cover a song for the sake of covering a song and like, oh my god, I hope it gets me millions of views. Like that's not the band that I want to be, because then no one really cares too much about your original stuff. And there's a couple of bands that have been able to break that mold. But if I'm going to cover something, I want it to mean something to me. And that song has been a very big anthem in my life for, I would say, the last, 15 years, 10, 15 years. I think that, what is that album? 2007? Something like that.
Nails album?
Something like that. No, it's 2005. What?
Two cases are not in the car, right?
Oh, yeah. I left him at the first. Thank you. Love you.
Love you too.
Love you, Dad.
Jacob's awesome. He unloaded the car for me so I could jump up here, and I live in a second story apartment, so it was really cool of him to bring 4 guitar cases upstairs for me.
Mm-hmm. Now this is the guy from Sweden, right?
Yes.
So Gothenburg, Sweden, right?
Yep.
So I know you said Gothenburg. I just wanted to let everybody know exactly where that's at, because you were in was it Louisiana? New Orleans.
Yes.
Yeah, New Orleans. And then you went from there to Gothenburg?
Yes. So the way that the Jacob thing happened, a drummer that I had worked with, and he's a really good friend of mine from back home, Sean Doria, he did a festival gig with me with Riding with Killers whenever we played with like Bad Flower and Seether and Three Doors Down and Nonpoint. He initially hooked us up, and then we had kind of like what I would call the most expensive meet and greet I've ever done in my entire life, just to even figure out if we were going to like each other. But then we went down to New Orleans, we met, we realized like, okay, it was funny. The session was not going great at all. And then Jacob looked at me, he was like, you come with me. We walked across the street. We had a drink at the Friendly Bar right across in the Marigny neighborhood, which is one of my favorite neighborhoods down in New Orleans because that's my hometown area. We figured out that we liked each other, that there was like a real connection there. Like when we came back from that drink, like we literally got like right up in each other's faces. And it was kind of like, the best analogy I have is kind of like you're in kindergarten and you've got a Batman toy, and then you see another kid who's got a Joker toy or another Batman toy, and you're like, and then you sit down right in front of each other and you just continue the story. But we did that with a guitar. And so then he flew from Gothenburg to Detroit. We did pre-production in my old house at the end of September. And then October, we all descended to New Orleans and started recording all the music there. Devin Clark from the band Cane Hill did the drums for this record, and he's a New Orleans native. And he and I have been playing shows together since we were kids because we're from the same area, just totally different bands at the time. And then James Laskew from New Monarch, I flew him down from Detroit, and he's been doing a bunch of writing with me over the last years, last like 4 years, really. He's one of my all-time favorite musicians and bass players, and he really contributed both to the first record and this record with Jacob. So we all did the music down there, and then we all got sick the last week we were supposed to do vocals. And I'm talking the entire city of New Orleans got sick. Like a cold front came through. This is October, mind you. And so it went from like 75, 80 degrees down to 50, just like that. The
Wow.
studio cat died that we were.
Oh,
Oh, dude, it was
So
awful,
sad.
man. Like, so we're recording an album, and this like dying cat is laying on my lap while I'm playing, and she dies like 2.5 weeks into recording. And so we're all sad from that and sick. And then Jacob was like, well, do you want to come to Gothenburg and we can do the vocal melodies, we can blueprint, we can do lyrics. And I was out there for about a month this past April. Yeah, we were there for like 28 days or something like that. And then we just finished up here in Rochester Hills. Matt Dalton, who is the drum tech for Corey Taylor, owns the studio, and I got kind of hooked up with him through my buddy Alfonso in Heartsick. And I just painted Josh Sobek's house, who is the front of house and tour manager for Corey Taylor. So Josh and Matt are on tour together, and we ended up having to find a studio last minute this past week, and so it all worked out. And then we finished vocals up at Rock Hill Sound this entire last week. So we literally went from Detroit to New Orleans to Gothenburg back to Detroit.
That brings up something that I've been kind of telling on every single one of these podcasts is it's all about networking. Like you've just dropped a whole bunch of these names that are really big names within the industry that you wouldn't have met without, certain instances happening within your life. So again, there goes with, networking, bringing yourself out there. It actually does help out. So,
for sure.
Bring that up.
And I mean, like the fact that I got to prove to, and that's the other cool thing is that right as this all happened, my crew and I were finishing Josh's house. So like he got to see the quality of work that I put out with my business. And so he's like, okay, well, I know this guy's not full of shit, so I'm going to refer him over here. And then that led to me getting into Rock Hill Sound, because I had not only friends that I've made like Alfonso from Heartsick, which they're a phenomenal band, and I love those guys to death. Those are some of my best friends I've made. And like another band around here, because I don't know too many local bands in this area. And I mean, local is not really a great word for Heartsick. They're definitely beyond that. But so I had a couple of different sources from within the music industry, but still within the music industry, but from the painting side, of two people saying to Matt, like, hey, you need to talk to this guy. And then it just all worked out beautifully.
Yeah. So let's touch on that a little bit, because you met these people through your painting business, and
Yes.
that is you'd probably consider that your main gig, because that's what pays the bills, right?
Oh, it pays for everything, man.
I'm sure everybody's interested in learning how that all started.
Yeah. So I'll try to make it as condensed as humanly possible. But I've basically had a paintbrush in my hand since I was 4 years old. My grandfather was in the Air Force, and he was a painter as well. He did telecommunications with the Air Force, but he was also into painting. Like he builds model trains, like entire cities. Like I'm talking like he has a table that's probably bigger or just as big as like this studio room that I'm in, where he's made like mountains and all sorts of stuff. And so he kind of got me into that. And he used to paint like real airplanes on top, like I'm talking actual planes that people get in and fly away off in, but people would fly around from the country and have him paint. So he kind of got me started with that. And then like it wasn't my first job, but I would say like my first job where I actually started making decent money when I was like 14, 15. I painted during a summer, and the guy that I was painting for randomly put me in charge of a crew of like two other dudes. And I'm like 14, 15 at the time. And I'm like, what? But I have a knack for it. Like that's just kind of one of my things. And from there, like I painted for various companies before landing at B&D Painting, on the Gulf Coast, which was the third largest commercial company on the coast. And we did like apartment complexes all the way from Long Beach, Mississippi, down to Grand Bay, Alabama. And my boss, John Burns, at the time, really believed in what I was doing because, like, my band from the Gulf Coast, Catharsis, which then became Wildfire. We were doing Rocklahoma, we were doing Welcome to Rockville, we were playing really big shows, and John was like, "Oh shit, yeah! Like if you bust your ass here, you can absolutely go on tour." So I essentially made myself like a very valuable team member that because I did such a good job when I was there, I could take off 2 weeks and I could come home and have a job no matter what. And basically, when I moved from the Gulf Coast, I was able to find a painting gig in Ohio for a short stint, which, we won't talk about that. And then when I landed in Michigan, the guy whose studio I was recording out of, Mark Papo, he had a painting company, a commercial painting company. And I was working at Sweetwater at the time in Fort Wayne, Indiana, because aside from painting, I've always been in sales. I worked at a guitar shop for 10 years back home, in between painting and stuff like that. So those are my two backgrounds, is sales and painting, as well as music. So whenever I got the offer to move to Detroit to do commercial painting, I did that. And then, I was here after the pandemic, and then the pandemic essentially destroyed my commercial job. And I started thinking, I was like, man, like, I know what I'm doing when it comes to painting. Like, I'm always doing all the work anyway, from start to finish. Um, why would I continue working for somebody else? I've got a background in sales. And it's just an associate's degree, which obviously doesn't really mean shit in today's world. But it's an associate's of business. So like, I was like, well, I've got the background and the knowledge essentially to do all of this. And so, um, 2 years ago in November, I started branching out on my own and I started painting custom houses. And then I was able to get an LLC, I would say, the following July or so. Because, I wanted to do like 5, 6 months, and well, is this going to work? Am I going to be able to be self sufficient and self sustaining? And I started building a really good reputation with real estate investors all around Metro Detroit. And I did a lot of houses for dog shit money. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those, like, okay, I'm not getting paid what I should be, but I'm also getting to prove myself to some really heavy hitters and respected members of this community. And I started making the rounds, you know what I mean? And as I started showcasing what I could do by myself, like, I was turning around 1,000 square foot bungalows by myself in 3 to 4 days. And that's doing ceilings, walls, trim, doors. That's all the mud work. That's all the finish work. Like, I was working 12 to 15-hour days. Like, I'd be working till 2 or 3 in the morning, listening to the craziest music, painting in a basement, losing my fucking mind. But it still allowed me to knock stuff out in a pretty decent amount of time, because most of the turnaround times that some of these other guys have up here was double or triple what I was doing. And I know that I was probably a quarter of the cost of what they are. So basically just kind of started building a reputation that way. And then I started breaking into more custom homes with homeowners, which is my main clientele now. And then I started doing commercial stuff. I've probably done about 4 or 5 commercial gigs. But like, one of those was a building an old 100-year-old theater off of Woodward Avenue, which is the main road that leads to downtown Detroit. So basically just a bunch of busting ass and networking, like you said, and kind of proving myself, to these people, like, okay, like, I'm not a shitty painter. I'm going to show up when I say I will. I'm going to give you a good product, and I'm going to do it well the first time. So that's kind of how my business, Rock and Roll Painting, like, came to be was, like I said, too long didn't read, pandemic destroyed commercial job. I said, fuck working for somebody else. And I just started walking. And I just hired, he's not a full-time guy. He's kind of like an alternate who jumps in when he can, but I just hired my third crew member. You know, I've got 2 guys that normally stick with me, you know, 40 hours a week. And my buddy who just started working for me, he also does like haunted houses, like he does set design, he does makeup, like he's an absolute badass. And so I've got a really cool ragtag team. Like we're not your typical painters, but we're doing, I would say, better work than 80% of the other guys out there, you know. But we're showing up and we're covered in tattoos and red hair, and everyone's like, "What the fuck?" And we do the
Rock and
thing.
roll, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
I think that's really cool because you spent all that time cutting your teeth and making sure that everybody knew that you were the genuine article and you could do the job, and for a fraction of the price of everybody else, and you worked hard to do that. And I feel like that kind of crosses over into the music realm too, because that's what you got to do. You got to work hard. The people who just kind of sit back and expect things to happen are not the people who make it in the music industry or the painting industry. So you having
Yeah.
that mindset definitely sets you apart from so many different people, and that's what you kind of need for success. It's just that diligent, hardworking attitude, and you go in and you do what you got to do. You work your ass off, and
Well, I've gotten to a point, man, to where it's like, would a label be cool? Sure, if you gave me the right deal, which I would have to fight tooth and nail for. But the thing is like with all these records, man, like with the exception of the first record, Dave definitely helped me out. He's the drummer on the first record. Like he went on and has these, like, in the beginning before he left the band, you know, he kind of helped me get there. But like after he went off to go do Sponge a couple of years back, I was like, well, no one's gonna just hand me anything. And like there's a sense of pride that comes from working your ass off, and like, okay, I don't owe a label money, I don't owe a financial backer money, I don't owe my parents money, or I don't owe my friends money. Like, you know, I could have bought a lot of nice things for myself, I could have done a lot of cool things, but like for me to know that like once the dust settles, like I've paid for all the merch, I've paid for the physical records, I've paid for the distribution, I've paid for the recording, I've paid musicians to like especially with this last record, you know, flying all over the world and all over the country. Like I had to pay for hotel airfare for not only me but for James. I had to pay him for his time, I had to pay Devin for his time, you know, which was a week and a half of just intense drumming, you know. And I had to pay Jacob, I had to pay for lodging, a lot of, and you know, all the food in between all that. But and it's a lot of money, but at the end of the day, it's like, man, I got to do that by busting my ass and still being able to pay all my bills, but still getting to work in an environment and to a capacity that I've always dreamed about doing. And I don't owe anybody shit. Except, I mean, I still owe Jacob money, you know what I mean? But like, I don't owe a record label money with some insane percentage that I have to pay back, or now I don't have people dipping into my merch or anything like that. So, you know, my thought is that if I can cultivate all of this myself, I either won't need a record label someday, I'll just have my own label because I'm financing the shit, you know. And that's the other thing. Speaking of like the PR that we're about to be doing, I'm paying for all that. The radio campaign that's coming next year, that's going to be me too, you know. So either I'm gonna build up such a good business with a good business plan that I will get the record deal that I truly want, because I'm not just gonna sign anything, or it'll get to a point of where I don't need a record deal and I'll just have a good management and good booking agency, and then I'll get to go do whatever the fuck I want, you know. And that's my goal at the end of the day. and why my painting business is so important, because in 5-10 years, man, like I want to have a business here in Detroit still going. I want to be living in New Orleans. I want to have been there for a long time by that point, have my branch down there working on historic homes, and then I tour whenever with either Taproot or Riding with Killers. And I want to be able to be self-sufficient, self-sustaining, because I want to be able to do what I want.
Yeah, absolutely. And it all
So
comes down to like
Motivation.
with your painting business, like you built it up yourself. You started that foundation and you created that reputation for excellence yourself, and then you started hiring on other people. And the same thing goes in this day and age, more so than a lot in the past, is you have to do that with your music as well. You have to build it up. You have to get people to listen to you. You have to substantiate your music in such a way that you essentially build it up, and then you get to a certain point where you need other people, and that's where the label comes in. Whereas,
For
in
sure.
the past it hasn't really been quite that way. It's been kind of like you play shows and the label representative is out there is like, we can make a whole lot of money off this, and then they put some wild crazy investment into a band, but they're not willing to do that because of the way music
Well,
pays these days, because it doesn't.
yeah.
Music doesn't
And
pay.
I mean, we shot ourselves in the foot with Spotify and Apple Music and all of that other shit, because why would you ever go out to a record store when your new record from your favorite band comes out? And why would you ever spend $12 on just one piece of music when you can spend $10.99, get access to everything? I mean, dude, it destroyed the entire. And like there's obviously ways to do it now and still be successful. Otherwise, there wouldn't be successful bands touring to the capacity that they're doing, and things wouldn't be happening. It's just it's different than it was. You know what I mean? So
Mhm. And the business is
there's
always
still a means of,
evolving. So that's,
but
yeah, that's what we talk
I mean,
about
you're
here. We
right
talk
though.
about
Like music doesn't pay what it does, because you're not getting to rely on album sales to pay your loan back, and then you go out on tour and then you really get to make money. It's now all based around touring, and that's where your bread and butter comes from, and that's how you sustain your band nowadays. It's not through record sales anymore. I mean, streams are cool, and I know a lot of people use that number to gauge where a band's at, but I mean, it's not near what it would have been if you would have sold 250,000 copies of your record, or five, or whatever have you. Like the streaming numbers don't near equate what album sales would have 15-20 years ago. So
yeah, that's
you know
true. It's an ever evolving business. It's a music business, and the people who are not business people are the ones who fall to the wayside. And that's unfortunate, because you have to be an entrepreneur in today's day and age to make it as a band. And that
well,
severely
and
limits a whole
that's
lot of people who are actually really good musicians. They just don't have that backing. They don't have that, kind of drive to
Skill
go out
set.
and, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think
well,
I
a lot
think
of
that's
people
changed a whole
forget.
lot.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people forget it's called the music business for a reason. It is a business. Like, yes, you get to play your guitar or your instrument and sing and like get your soul cleansed and get it all out. But at the end of the day, like if you're putting music out there, like you've got some sort of goal in mind, I would think of doing the thing. But like if you want to really do the thing, you have to turn it into a business, because it is. It just is. We're basically a t-shirt company that makes albums. You know what I'm saying? Like,
True.
like
Yep.
that's what it is. Like that's what everything is. Like, look at Slipknot and look at Iron Maiden. They are brands, man. They're merch companies that make really fucking badass albums and music, and that's what it is, man. But there's still art, and there's a fine line, between the art and the business, but you have to play both sides. That's just, and that's with anything though. Like, dude, like even with painting, man, like there is a passion behind there. There is an art to that, but it's part of business. But like, it is a very satisfying feeling whenever I can put my hands on 100-year-old theater and transform it. Like there's the spiritual sense, there's the connection sense, there's the, okay, I'm getting to add to the city of Detroit by making this nicer, but then obviously like pay me, logistics, my payroll, my insurance, blah 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 blah. Like I got to make sure at that point, like, yeah, I want the job and I want to put all the love and heart and care I can into it, but you need to fucking pay me, because what you're asking me to do, and what a lot of people don't understand too, and I guess this is going to be me standing on a soapbox and ranting, because painters, there's a stereotype. There really is. I like to think that my company is breaking the mold. Like we're not, a bunch of pissed off old dudes, with like that are jaded, showing up drunk or whatever. Like we've all like all of my guys have something to work for on the weekends. You know what I mean? We're all pursuing passion projects. We're not just working to go get fucked up at this bar or, whatever have you. Like every single person in my company has some sort of passion or ideology that they believe in outside of work, and they use work to fuel that. And that's what I like about my business. But like, when you hire us, man, you're asking me to use my entire body. Like, dude, we have to get massages monthly, because like we're using our entire bodies. We're on our hands and knees. We're reaching. We're climbing ladders. We're carrying. Like we're doing the same shit that essentially professional athletes do. Like they have what, a 3 or 4 hour game, dude. We're going 10, 12, sometimes 15 hours a day of just straight physical labor, you know. And we're also that last step between you and selling your house, or you turning your new home purchase into your own personal space and your own sanctuary. And it's like, everyone's like, oh, the painting will be cheap. Oh, the painting will be this. And it's like, we're one of the harder, and not to say that we work harder than any other, tradesman or whatever, because like everyone busts their ass. But like, I feel like sometimes laborers like us get looked down on whenever
Mm-hmm.
people don't realize the love and the care that goes into our craft, and then the physical aspect of it too, man. Like, dude, I can't tell you how many times I've almost blown out my fucking shoulder, but like, we're killing our bodies in order
Yes,
to beautify your place, and we deserve to be compensated properly for that, and
absolutely.
and that's another business aspect of like, you got to start somewhere, build that reputation, but then you got to start asking for more, and finding that room for growth. So
Yeah, definitely. I spent 10 years myself just strictly painting, and it was, cabinetry and everything like that, but I would go on site. I would do refinishes. So on top of
yeah,
actually painting somebody's cabinets, you are invading their space that they actually live in, and you are, doing all of the necessary prep work to refinish their cabinets so that they last for 20 years, 30 years, whatever, because it takes a lot. People don't understand, like, the prep work is really the most important part. And the people who don't do it right, like, it might look the same the day of when they're finished, but a year down the road that paint starts chipping, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to be the guy who a year down the road is, coming back to touch up something, and you're always stifled with trying to fix mistakes that you made in the past. And you got to put yourself into it, and it's hard work, like you said. Like,
oh yeah,
getting up down
well,
on ladders, being on your knees, and like taping off floors and everything. It's
yo.
hard work.
Oh, dude, I mean, we usually have an entire day and a half of prep, like you said, protecting all the floors, doing the mud work, doing all the finish work along the trim, the doorways, the windows, um, and then it just depends. Like we just removed a shit ton of wallpaper from another place, and the previous
Oh,
job, the big one that I just did for Josh, um, same thing, revamped his entire home, and then I redid all of his kitchen cabinets. And I mean, what people don't understand, they're like, oh, that's not that big of a job, but it's like, no, there's 38 cabinet doors that I have to unscrew. I have to uninstall everything. I have to sand front and back down. And then the actual cabinets that are, like the parts that's still installed in the actual wall, I got to sand all of that down, take the varnish off. Then you got to prime it, and then you got to spray it. Then and that's 2 to 3 coats each side of each door of a special enamel called Breakthrough, with a high gloss sheen, because you want it to last. You want it to be resistant against, like everyday normal wear and tear, like opening cabinets or like accidentally bumping something into it, So like, I mean, dude, I spent literally over a week on just cabinets, and in between stuff drying, I'm running back and I'm painting ceilings out or painting walls out and giving my guys a good head start to cut in or, pole sand, and that's the other thing. Like, dude, we pole sand between every coat, like we do things the right way the first time so we don't have to fucking come back. And I'm getting to a point now, like if I give you a bid and you want to haggle me down, call someone else. You know what I mean? Like I gave you a price for a reason, and I'm no longer willing to cut myself short because I know the quality that I'm going to put out. I know the quality that my guys, like, they know what I expect, and they put it out even if I'm not there. Like when I was recording vocals this week, they did an entire house while I was gone, for one of our rental management companies that we absolutely love. But like, I didn't have a second thought. Like I knew that Skylar is going to lead the way, and the kid's 21. That's the other crazy thing. Is 2 of my guys are both 21, and you would never know it with the way that they conduct themselves, with how they speak to clients if I'm not there, with how they work, the work that they put out there. You would think that they were my age, if not older, and that's the best part about it, is that, not only are we giving you a good product, but you're also getting to utilize guys that I have trained and passed on skills. And like, we deserve to get paid. Everybody does, especially if you do something well.
Yep, absolutely. And you're definitely proving yourself as a hardworking guy who has a attention to detail. So I'm curious how that kind of played into you becoming a touring member of Taproot. So I'm curious about how that all came about.
So my first real tour was 10 years ago. And I say first real, like I had done regional things, and we had done some pretty decent stuff as Catharsis way back in the day. But my first real, like 25 days straight, like North American with a bigger band that I knew, was with Taproot. And we opened for those guys, and I connected with every single member in that band. And at the time, Dave Coughlin was the touring drummer, and he and I really, really hit it off. And after we got off tour, like, we basically have been playing Call of Duty together for the last 10 years. I'll probably play with him later tonight. He's the older brother I never got to have. And basically, I literally kept in touch with every single one of those dudes. Mike and I kind of lost touch, but I know Mike kind of lost touch with everybody. So I never took that offensively or personally. And I'll go ahead and say that, like, there's nothing weird between he and I. There's always been mutual respect and love between the two of us. He was always a sweetheart to me. So it's really an honor to be carrying the mantle for Mike. So it means a lot to me. And that's, I think, the other reason why they wanted me to be in this band is, once they knew that I moved up here and Dave and I had recorded a record together, Dave was sending all the stuff that we were making to those guys. And they were like, wait, he lives here now? Call him. And I got a call last year, and it was such a no-brainer, because, like, I mean, I've been a fan of Taproot since I was 10 years old, in Gulfport, Mississippi, the other side of the country, 16, 17 hours away. but I went through the full spectrum of emotion with Taproot's music as a young man. So it was honestly a dream come true to get that call. And I think they knew, because well, I've had very, very in-depth personal conversations with all of them. And I'm an ADHD kid, I'm a Ritalin kid. I was on Ritalin for many, many years, like a lot of developmental years, so I'm kind of weird. But I feel like that's also, like you said, that attention to detail that kind of plays with my ADHD. Like I freak the fuck out if stuff's not like, and that's what helps my painting, is that attention to detail. And I think they knew that I would really look at the songs and play them correctly with the right feeling they were looking for. And they knew that I cared, you know what I mean? So I think because of my business and because of my attention to detail, they knew that I would have the same approach when it came to their music. And that's kind of how it's been. Like I hear Taproot songs in my sleep, like I live, eat, breathe, and shit those tunes.
Excellent.
As bands do.
As bands do.
I mean, well, I mean, it was intense, man, because like I freaked out and I really drilled myself because, dude, I'm the only non-original member in Taproot. And do you know how scary that is with a band that has a legacy like that? And like, it's scary, man, because you want the fans to accept you. Obviously, you want the band guys to accept you, but that's who you really want to like you, is the fans, because that's who you're there for and that's who you're performing for. And that's why I think I have had an easier time, because it was scary, but I'm a fan myself, so it made it easier to learn the songs. Like when I started rehearsing them and learning them, like even before I started looking up like live videos or whatever, certain songs, like I just fell into them like I had been playing them my whole life. So it really, I would say it helped. My gig with Taproot is the love and care that I put into painting, and of course the love and care I put into writing with Killers too.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about your craziest tour experience. It's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you on tour
That I can talk about. Shit. I'm trying to think, man.
Did somebody die? Is that what is,
No.
I gotta protect the names of the dead.
No.
Because, yeah, that could happen.
What I'm thinking of was many, 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 many moons ago, and no, I'm not going to talk about that one. I'm trying
Fair
to
enough.
think, like weirdly enough, man, like I'm kind of mild on the road. Like I'm not out partying like crazy. I'm not getting shit hammered. Like there's some dates that I like. One of my favorite like memories, I will say, was just getting absolutely sloshed on moonshine at an after party on the Taproot tour 10 years ago in this random basement under a venue. And
Okay, so I have to
I
ask.
think
Moonshine, was it homemade moonshine? Because this sounds
of
dangerously
course.
similar to an experience that I had. Of course.
So
All right.
I will
Homemade
say we
moonshine.
always did get very
Yes.
back in the day, we had a couple friends of ours that would bring us legit moonshine from the Tennessee mountains.
Nice.
And from surrounding areas. That one was pretty wild. I mean, I would say near death experience. Like I remember one time I was driving our old van, and we were going like 65 or 70, and the driver's side tire just blows out, and I caught it. Like I caught the wheel, I caught everything, I got it under control, but there was vehicles literally all around us. And it could have easily just been like pink, 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 flip. But I luckily caught it, and some dude who saw the whole ordeal pulled over, and my baby, he sat with us for like 3 hours because this was like 4 in the morning or some shit that this happened, and his name is Lou, and I still keep in touch with that guy. But I mean that was nuts. I thought I was gonna fucking die. But I mean, as far as like throwing
crazy.
TVs out, anything like that, I haven't really done anything super crazy like that. I haven't OD'd or any dumb stupid shit like that. But like I said, I'm kind of mild, man. Like I really don't. I don't know, dude. Like I kind of hang out in the dressing room and I work out and I smoke weed. And that's about it. Or I go exploring, man. Like I like to go. I like to walk around, but like I'm sorry, I don't have a more thrilling, like insane story for you. And I'm sure there's something that I just can't remember.
Just blocked it out. You blocked it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it could be anything because there's bands that we've talked to where it's like their van caught on fire, you know, or something.
Okay.
Is
Look.
you're out there walking around and you run into somebody, some tweaker in a corner or something like that. That just you just never forget, you know, the experience you had when you met them.
Well, I mean, okay. So thank you. Like, this is why we do this, is so you can get. It's kind of like producing, man. When Jacob like tells me I'm a shitty singer to piss me off, and then I get the take, like get me in the zone. This was random, and it was on the Taproot tour. But I wasn't in the band at the time. But we went to this super shitty motel, and I'm talking like this was like December, and it was a really bad winter that year, and we were touring up north, of course, Midwest, and it was like super icy and snowy out. Like we checked into this really dingy hotel, and I'm the last person to walk in, and as I'm about to walk into my my hotel room, this guy just pops out of his room. He's like, "Hey, come here, I got a present for you." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "All right," because he actually had a present. And so
was
I
it
grabbed
wrapped?
it.
Like, was it wrapped to have a bow and stuff on it?
Dude, it was wrapped. It was like a Christmas gift. And
was it
I
waist
walked
height?
into the hotel room and I was like, this dude just gave me this. And I opened it up and it was like a belt that was way too big for me. But I was like,
how disappointing. Oh my God.
But I was like, maybe he's about to give me something really. I mean, I guess it was weird to give a stranger a belt, randomly.
Hey.
Oh, wait. Okay, so I've got more stuff. Do you know that guy?
We're tapping into it right now.
Yeah. You remember that guy from Goat and Your Mom? That video from like it is like probably the shittiest like backwoods hangout. Like there's trailers everywhere, and it's this dude in a thong and an American flag as a cape, and he's got a long beard, long hair, and there's a guy playing drums, and he's like, "Can you quack? Can you quack like a duck when we fuck?" Have you seen that video?
Yeah, Andrew was in there.
Dude, you gotta look it
Andrew.
up. It's the most bizarre, like hillbilly shit I've ever seen in my life. And
no, that's great. That's along with all of my Creed shreds videos. It like pops up. That's one of them, you know.
And I was just walking around in where is it in Texas? Austin. And I just happened to walk by that guy, and I was like, "Can you quack like a duck?" And he turned around, he's like, "Hey, you got $1?" And I was like, "No, I'm on tour too." I was like, "I'm on tour too, man. I'm fucking broke." And he's like, "All right," and then he walked away.
Somebody like, cool. recognizes him and he asks for money.
Oh yeah,
that must have panned out for him really, really well. Geez. So,
you know, you're talking about that. The gift is a belt. Just kind of reminded me of a joke. It's like I took all my watches and I put them together, right? And like a belt, turned out to be just a waste of time.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm ashamed.
so we'll say what is the best tour experience you've had? An experience that made you really like feel vindicated that you were doing music, and it really made you think, I need to keep doing this. This is why I do it. I need to continue on.
Um, I've had quite a few instances of that, even from my first real stadium show that I played when I was 17. I got to open for Avenged Sevenfold and Bullet for My Valentine and Atreyu. Like, Bullet was on Scream Aim Fire, Atreyu was on Lead Sails, Paper Anchors, and I want to say Avenged was on the White album. I got to play with the Rev and all that. It was fucking insane. But like, I felt weirdly comfortable in front of 10,000 people because that was the first time any of those bands had ever come to the Gulf Coast. So everybody was there as soon as the doors opened. So we had 10,000 asses and seats in front of us. But I felt this weird command over the crowd. I felt because, like, even though I wasn't the singer at the time, I always talked to the audience. I acted like the front man anyway. I just never sang at the time. So that one was one of those like, yeah, you should probably keep doing this. But recently, I would say playing the Gramercy Theater in New York City with Taproot, that was that's a defining moment for me, I would say, because I've never been to New York City until then, and for my first show ever to be at the Gramercy, like, come the fuck on, dude! And it was a Live Nation venue, and they our friends. Mark and Morgan, I believe their venue's a Live Nation venue, but like they gave us like they gave us like a goodie bag from Live Nation, like hats and duffel bags, and they gave us gas cards, and it was just bizarre, man. Like they had like I've never gotten like treatment like that from such a big organization, and from the moment we got there, like everyone from the venue to the sound staff were just incredible, and met fans that flew in from all over the world for that show. Got to connect with a lot of people, and it was one of those like, and that was the other thing too, like, in between all that, after sound check, like my wife and I went to we went by Gramercy Park, and I remembered that fucking got the commuter Gramercy Park song. What was that fucking band called? Dead Z. So I got to see that. I got to eat a piece of pizza from Peter Parker's work, where like the actual location they filmed the 2002 Spider-Man movie at.
Nice.
Got to find the rock from Little Nicky where he's asleep, and and everyone walks up after he gets his flask stolen. Like we found that rock, like getting to explore, like it felt so rock star, from like the old like the Linkin Park and Lamb of God like rockumentary DVDs that I've collected over the years, where it shows the band like sound check, playing shows, and then like they're in this great city, but they're getting to explore and be tourists. Like I got to experience that a couple weeks back, to where it's like, okay, jump on the subway, go to Grand or Central Park, or go to Times Square, go see all these things, and then go play an incredible, damn near sold out rock show at a huge theater in New York City, and get accepted by the people of New York City. And that was one of those things, like, and then like the people that I met there, like they're like, dude, you're doing such a good job, you're bringing energy and life to this band. And that was a big indicator that like, okay, I need to keep pursuing what I'm doing, I need to keep moving forward. And then on top of that, like, dude, like getting to work with Jacob, man, like the fact that someone as renowned as him, and I don't know if you're familiar with his credentials, and I'm gonna embarrass him, I'm sure he can hear me, but like, dude, he's recorded Anthrax, Machine Head, he did the new Vola record that sounds fucking incredible, In Flames, Dark Tranquility, like just like the dude has gold records, and for some reason he wanted to work with me, like some Mississippi boy who uprooted his life and moved to Detroit, but like the fact that I got to be in a room with him and become, he's one of my best friends now, and the fact that he wants to make music and art with me. And same with the musicians that I've worked with, and even to Matt LaPlante, man. Like the fact that Matt wanted to work with me for, I don't know, we worked together for like 11 fucking years, and he produced a record called, or by a band called Burn Season, that was like my anthem in high school. And then the fact that, and he did, I would argue, Non-Point's one of their most commercially successful records, To the Pain. That record was fucking slamming, and the fact that he wanted to continue working with me, and like I find myself in these situations where I'm starting to meet more and more people that I looked up to as a kid, just being starry eyed, only dreaming of doing the things that I'm doing. And I'll piggyback off of this, and this will be a good little closing point for that. But another really standout memory from tour was when we did Taste of Madison earlier this year. We whited out for that show, so everyone was like, "Holy shit, Ozfest Taproot is back!" So I got to have my own little slice of what Ozfest would have been, because Ozfest never came to my hometown, and my mom did not really like me liking that music at first.
Yeah.
So I was never really allowed to go get to that until, a little later in my teens. But the standout moment from Taste of Madison was I get off stage and we're hanging out, and this guy runs up to me and he's like, "Well, I've toured with Taproot, but I haven't met you yet." Biggest smile, and he fucking gives me a crazy hug, and it's Matt from Mudvayne. And this guy sits there and he has a 15, like, and I'm talking direct eye contact, like not like man, I can't wait for this conversation. Like the man was engaged. He was fully interested. Like I had his full attention. He had my full attention. It's kind of like how Jacob and I talk to each other, with just this intense eye contact. And like after the conversation ended and he hugged me and walked away, like, dude, I fucking cried like a baby. You know what I mean? Because it's like he was so nice to me. And, like you start thinking back to being an angry kid, and wow, that guy's music and his drumming got me through it. And he was one of the main bands, but yet he just came up to me and introduced himself to me and was the biggest sweetheart in the world. And it was just such an emotional moment for me, because it's like I'm starting to I'm already playing in a band with some of my heroes, but now I'm getting to meet even more of those heroes from that core group of 6 or 7 bands that made me want to do this in the fucking first place. So that was insane, you know.
And what a lot of people don't realize is, rock stars do have feelings, right?
Yeah.
And the majority of us, I'm going to lump myself in the category there, but the majority of us are, artistic, and we do have those feelings, and that's where all of this music comes out of, is from all those feelings. So yeah, when you say, I met this person really embraced me, and we had a moment and everything like that, that is magical. It's an amazing moment. So if anybody's going to be out there and being like, he cried about that, and it's like, you obviously cannot relate. You don't know what
Oh
we're
yeah,
talking about.
yeah. I mean, and I'll say this too, man. Like, there is nothing wrong with crying, bro. Like that's some of the best therapy you'll ever get. And my and I basically can't, like, a little phrase in my head, but it's like tears are just reoccurring battle scars, and we're not fucking ashamed of battle scars. In fact, we show off battle scars, and we show off battle scars by recording fucking albums that hopefully people across the world will cry to and get through their shit and find a sense of healing. Dude, crying is healing. Crying is progress. Crying is is expressing vulnerability, man. So like if you gotta cry that shit out, dude. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yep, dive into it. I think it's really cool because connecting with musicians that you really looked up to is just insane. And I have a couple of instances where that happened to myself, especially because you were talking about the Gramercy Theater in New York, and that was my first time ever playing in New York as well at the Gramercy. It was awesome, the coolest thing ever. And I don't know if a lot of people know this because you show up to a show and you go in through the doors and you watch the show and you don't know how any of the backstage stuff happens, but all of the tour buses and stuff, they go into New York City, they unload all of the gear, and then they go across the bridge into New Jersey. So they're not even in the same city, they're not even in the same state.
Yep.
And I thought that was crazy. I thought that was like insane, but it was like completely normal for them. And just rolling into that situation was
I mean,
very,
dude, the
very
park
interesting, very enlightening.
so
But on
limited.
top of that, the Gramercy Theater, when I played there, I really connected with the drummer for Ice Nine Kills. His name is Patrick Gallant, and he is the coolest guy I have ever met. And at that particular time, that particular night, my ex actually said that she wanted a divorce. So I was like going through some shit, and he knew it. He just knew it by the look on his face because we'd been touring for 2 weeks together at that point. And he said, "Hey, you know what? We got this extra bottle of Jameson that we're not going to go through. So here, like, you have it. You hang out in our green room. Let's just chill." And that
Yeah,
was like huge for me. And I don't think he really realized how big it was, but there were definitely some tears shed that night because of how intense that situation was. But then went up on stage at the Gramercy and played a sold out show, and it was amazing. And then just moved on.
yeah,
So yeah, it's really cool, like connecting with people, different musicians on different levels, when that just makes everything worth it. That
for
just
sure.
speaks to you and says what you're doing is what you are supposed to be doing. So that's
100.
my personal experience there. So yeah,
I love
but I
it.
think we're getting a little bit past an hour here. So at this point, I think
11
we should.
o'clock where I'm at.
Yes,
It's been a
yes, and I know you
long
got
day.
stuff to do.
I gotta go have a celebratory drink
Yes,
with the
absolutely.
group. So I gotta do that before I pass out.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So now we will ask you our final question. It's the absolute most important question. It's very, very vital that you answer it truthfully, and I will leave it to Andrew to
Oh
ask.
boy.
Let's
Yes,
go.
it's a
Okay.
great honor.
Okay. So yes. Do you prefer waffles or pancakes?
Waffles all day long. Waffle House,
Yeah.
baby. Come on,
Waffle House,
dude.
baby.
Waffle House, and that's been one of the hardest things about being up in Detroit. And really quick, this is a message to like Michigan. Like, if you guys are just like ready to make all the money ever, just bring Waffle House up here. Like, come on, just bring it up here. We're gonna boost the economy. We're gonna fix the roads thanks to Waffle House because the roads up here are dog shit. And Waffle House is going to be the way that we do that, as well as Kane's chicken fingers.
Perfect.
Yes,
Yes.
I love Kane's. I
Louisiana
miss they
native
don't
as
up
well.
here.
Even your enthusiasm. I like it. I like it. And I just want to say thank you for taking your time out of your day and your busy schedule for being here and
Oh, thanks
being
for
with
wanting to
us.
talk to me, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And thanks for the Waffle House plug. At some point, we're going to be sponsored by Waffle House, I'm sure. So, yeah. And it was super, super enlightening to hear about your experiences as a musician and as an entrepreneur who makes money in order to fund your music habit. So, Taylor, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And with that, we will sign off. Thank you guys for listening. Keep in mind that we have, we have the TikTok, we have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We're all over the place, and make sure you like, rate, and review the podcast so that it gets in front of as many people as possible. And that helps us so much. It keeps this thing alive, where we talk to musicians about their side hustles and pull back the curtain a little bit about the things that happen behind the scenes that your average fan is not aware of. That is vital to your favorite musicians continuing to do and create and make the music that really makes the world turn. So, with that said, thanks for listening. This is the Gig Money Podcast. I am Cody.
And I'm Andrew.
Thanks, Taylor, for being on. And we will see you guys next time.
Every day I'm hustling.